Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be talking about the new horror film, Bring Her Back. Bring Her Back is about a brother and a sister who get placed into a foster home after recently losing their father, only to find that things with their new foster mom aren't quite as they seem, and especially not with her son, Ollie. Now heading into this movie, I had heard some things that this movie goes there with its violence, and that's not surprising. The directors of this film previously directed 2022 Talk to Me, a horror film that was so graphic that I needed to change it while I was sitting on an airplane because I was nervous about what the people around me were going to think. But something I really liked about Talk to Me was its eerie atmosphere. For a first feature, I was really impressed with what the directors brought to the table, so I was curious with this one if they were able to emulate that same sort of atmosphere here. Now, the biggest plus that I have about this movie are the performances. Everyone here is off the charts, and I am shocked, I'm befuddled by how good the child actors are. All three of the primary child actors knock it out of the park. They are incredible. The kid who plays Andy, he's sort of like our protagonist in the film, and he's unbelievable in this film. The younger daughter, I don't know the actress's name, but the youngest daughter is blind, and I believe the actress is as well. She is great in this movie, but I really want to highlight the kid who plays Ollie, the son of the foster mom. This kid has a career ahead of him. He completely steals the show. I'm shocked that a child actor could be this good. If you remember back in my video about Lilo and Stitch, I say in there that I tend to give child actors a little bit of leniency in performances because they don't have a ton of experience, and normally if a child actor is passable in a movie, I don't even bring it up if I think that they're not very good. I don't have to worry about that with this kid because he is a pro. He is unbelievably good in this movie. All three of them are. Sally Hawkins, who I love, I think that she is severely underrated. She plays the foster mom in this film, and she is creepy. This is a side of her that I've never seen before, and you know, I'm a fan of the Paddington films. I was disappointed that she didn't reprise her role as the mom in the latest Paddington movie, but if her not doing that movie means that we get more performances like this out of her, then that is completely fine. You really see all aspects of the character, what she's trying to portray versus who she actually is by the end of the film. There is a specific shot in this movie when she's looming over the younger girl's bed, and she just looks insane. She is a totally different human being than what we saw at the beginning of the movie. The performances were far and away my biggest plus whenever I left the movie theater last night, but there is a lot more to love here, including the stable direction by, I believe it's the Filippo brothers, former YouTubers turned filmmakers. This is only their second feature, and something that I've noticed now across the board with these guys is they are excellent at setting an atmosphere to their films. Right whenever this film starts, it just feels eerie, it feels creepy. The cinematography helps ring this home as well, where things just aren't quite right the whole movie. These guys know what they're doing at this point, and I'm looking forward to what they have in store for us in the future and for the horror genre. I'm particularly interested in how they explore themes of grief, because in this film, everybody is grieving the loss of somebody else. And at its core, Bring Her Back is the exploration behind what happens to us whenever we lose someone or something that we love, even if that relationship was complicated. With differing perspectives of the people that have passed, you know, we see the perspective of looking at this deceased person with rose-tinted glasses, and the other, while acknowledging that they weren't perfect, they still lost somebody that means something to them. It shows that death is so impactful. It's really fascinating themes, and you see that from the perspectives of an adult and children. Very, very deep themes here, and I can't wait to see what these directors do next. I also like how they designed some of these shots here with the knowledge that one of the lead characters is blind, and where that takes the story. They do a lot of interesting things with the cinematography, and the script doesn't forget about the fact that one of the people is blind and can't really see what's going on. You know, you're seeing the older brother kind of having to credential himself to his younger sister and tell him that this woman is crazy, right? But she can't actually see what's going on. You know, whenever this little kid Oliver is looking like a weirdo, the younger daughter can't see that. It's just the older brother that knows that something's a little bit off about this house, about these people. So I just love how they molded the story and the shot composition around one of the characters being blind. I thought it was very clever. It's very different from a lot of other horror films. Last thing here from the pros is the sound design is incredible. I'm thinking about one scene in particular that involves teeth. If you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. It's very creepy, but sound mixing guys and gals did a great job. I do have some cons here, and probably my biggest knock on the movie is there's a very odd way it's edited, maybe in the first bit of the third act, I would say. It made it very confusing to know where characters were and when they were in these places, and it kind of set up, to me, a twist of some sort, but there was no twist involved, or at least relating to the editing that I noticed. So it was very odd scene placement here. I think it was a huge miss and kind of a sore thumb in comparison to how the rest of the movie was conceived. I also felt like near the end of the film, things got a little bit predictable. It reminded me a lot of Longlegs from last year, the way that the very end kind of sets itself up. Once it reaches a certain point, you kind of know what direction it's going in. I will say they do throw a few curveballs in there for you, ones that you don't predict as you're watching the movie, but with the knowledge of how they handled Talk to Me and some of the lead characters, it makes sense, you know? But still, for a movie where I didn't really know what direction they were going in for a while, I thought that approaching the end of the movie got a little bit predictable, and that was a little off kilter from how the rest of the movie was. And then the very end, I don't know if I really believe how this movie ended. For the movie that they had set up and the decisions that some of the characters had made up to that point, I felt like the ending didn't quite make sense. While I do like the ending, I don't think it made sense in the script that they had written up to that point. And then lastly, from the cons, this isn't really a problem with the movie, it's more so my personal preference. So whenever I give my score, it's probably going to be lower than what you're going to see online from a lot of other folks, but this movie just isn't necessarily my thing. It's one of those that I respect. There's a lot that I really like about the movie. I think that it's really well made, but in the sense that it's just not normally my sort of cup of tea, the score's probably just going to be a little bit lower because I enjoy it less than maybe some other horror movies or just other movies in general. And then my last note is just a warning that if whenever you go see your movies, you don't want to see violence against kids, that's most of the violence in this movie. I mean, everybody gets banged up, but a lot of it is against kids. So if you're squeamish towards that whenever you go to the movie theater or you don't want to see that, you need to know that before, because it gets pretty intense, and the movie definitely goes there. It definitely, I would say, crosses a couple lines for probably a vast majority of people. I still think it's a really good movie, and if that kind of stuff doesn't really bother you whenever you're, going to the movies, watching something at home, then definitely check it out. It's very well made. If you like horror, especially if you like their other film, Talk to Me, go check this out. This is right up your alley, but just know that ahead of time so you're preparing yourself beforehand, because there were several scenes where I was kind of like, ooh, I'm surprised that they're going there. But overall, you guys, in my Letterboxd, which is linked down below, I gave this movie a 3 out of 5. Amazing performances, very well made. Not really my cup of tea. I'm probably never going to watch it again, but it kept me on the edge of my seat. It took the story in directions that I wasn't expecting in parts, while getting a little predictable at the end before taking a sharp right turn, I would say. This is a really solid movie. I think that it's worth checking out if you're into horror, if you're into these directors, and I can't wait to see what they do next as they continue to carve out a name for themselves in horror cinema. Thank you so much for watching this video, and don't forget to subscribe if you aren't already, and I will see y'all next time. Bye, y'all.